Hi Taurus, welcome to your end of March 2020 tarot update. It's Raina here, and yeah, let's see what's coming up for you. Oh, I like that. Okay. So you got several major arcana cards. I've been getting, in the last month or so, I've been getting certain kinds of patterns here. A lot of pentacles, a lot of major arcana cards, because there's a lot of change. And this is the time at the end of March where we have the equinox, and that's always a time of change. And you probably already feel that. There's a great pressure or urge to, excuse me, do things, change things in life. And this is part of this is, because it's cardinal energy. When the sun goes into like Aries, and at this time of year, at the end of March, actually next week as I record this, it's going to be March 19th this year that the sun goes into Aries, and that can feel like, prompting you to change. Now, the interesting thing for you is that this is happening in the 12th house. So, this is the sign right before you, and this is the end of a cycle, the last solar cycle before you have your solar return, either in April or May. And but when the sun goes into Taurus, you'll probably start to feel more like things are beginning again for you. So there still can be change on an internal level, though, and that's what might be happening. And it's interesting that the heart of the matter here is the Temperance card, which is about balance between the spiritual and the material. And I would even say, like, the 12th house is the spiritual and the first house is the material. The first house can actually be the body, and then the 12th house can be like the mind or the soul. And really, what this can be about, especially for Taurus, because you are an earth sign, is that if you've been neglecting the spiritual, not because you don't believe in God, but just simply because you are just so acclimated to the material world. I mean, you're just so good at it, that it just comes natural to you to be connected to the world, that you have to remember that you are a spiritual being having a human experience instead of the other way around. And when I look at the past position, we have the Three of Swords, so there may have been some kind of recent feeling of rejection. It doesn't have to be like a relationship. It can be perhaps some kind of disappointment, even in the workplace. If you got passed over for a promotion, or if there was an opening in another department that you felt that you wanted that particular job instead, and something fell through, that can feel very disappointing, and as if everything is just crap, for lack of a better word. But really, I was just listening to Abraham Hicks today talking about these kinds of things, and like when we try to do something, it's all about the energetics of it. So in other words, you can do something and think that you really want a particular job or a particular relationship, and really there's a lot of ambivalence whether it's emotionally or if you want to call it energetically, which is, we'd say your vibe. But I would say that it's definitely within the emotional field that, depending on past experiences, you might be leery. For instance, if you've had a recent relationship that broke up, if that's what the Three of Swords represents to you, then you might be feeling sad about it. But if you think about it, you realize that something wasn't quite right on your end. Maybe, you were scared about getting close to somebody, and that hurt the chances of the relationship. The Three of Swords sometimes can be like a lover's triangle, and the Temperance card can relate to Sagittarius. So, it could always be that sign is involved somehow in all of this. The higher message is the Fool card, and this is about absolutely new beginnings. And this is the higher message, or the bigger picture, maybe we'd call it that. And really, this is the beginning of the tarot. So it's like creating your own reality, the zero, the unknown quality or quantity. And the idea is that, again, because the sun is going into the 12th house, it's almost like finishing up an old cycle. And then the Fool card is the new cycle. And maybe all of these disappointments, all of these things, these are kind of the results of, who you used to be. And the Fool card is like pressing the reset button. You can always become something else or someone else. I remember reading something that really resonated with me and also really inspired me. They said that whatever you're experiencing right now in your reality is actually the past, because it was those past actions that led to this current circumstance. So we always think of whatever we're experiencing right now as the present, our present mentality, our present, like our present state of consciousness, whatever you want to call it. And no, it's actually the past. And so even though you're seeing it manifest now, it's because it takes time for things to manifest. But you can set this stage for a whole new creation. And there's something in the Bible where they talk about becoming a new creature. I'll have to find out what that is, but it's kind of like a similar thing, of this idea of not just reinventing yourself, but it's becoming a new person. What crosses you is the Two of Pentacles, and this is another thing that I keep getting, is the two, which can be like a choice that has to be made. And I think, I was trying to think, why does that keep coming up for people? It doesn't mean, different signs. And I think that there's a lot of uncertainty right now, because a lot of things are in a state of flux. There's a lot of stuff in the outer world that is kind of, we're kind of in the dark about, and we're kind of fumbling around trying to figure out what's going on. And it's creating the need for making decisions on the spot. Things that we, 2 weeks ago, we may not have even thought were legitimate issues. That we would have never thought we had to deal with. And so in this case, with the Two of Pentacles, this is specifically, and of course I've got 2 3s here as well, so that can sometimes be 3 is a crowd, 3 people involved, but 2 can be choosing between, and this is going to be also in the challenge position, so it's going to be a lot more challenging, in the upright position. And by the way, when I picked the card, I picked it in the upright position, but because of the position in the spread, I'm reading it in the most challenging sense, which in this case might be the reverse. Sometimes it would be the upright that's the most challenging. But in any case, this is about, in general, this card is about maybe working 2 jobs or being very harried, busy, but maybe spread thin, maybe like, having a lot on your plate. It's kind of like a juggler. In the Rider-Waite, I think they actually show like kind of a juggler type of an image. And, working school and a job, or, taking care of an elderly parent and working and things like that. And so we see the Temperance where it's more about balance. And this is about having a lot of stuff on your plate. And the thing is that even with relationships, there might be like juggling relationships. In that past position, if this is on your end of things, if you're involved in a third-party situation that you are willingly a part of, it may be taking its toll. That might be part of the thing. And because the Fool card is about starting new, you may be still holding on to some relationship that just doesn't work, and you're trying to kind of move forward, but still have this thing going on that is keeping you stuck in the past. And one of the reasons why is that Taurus is a sign that likes that constancy. Even if something isn't working 100%, you may be reluctant to let it go. And that can be hard, because in order to move forward, you have to let go of the past, obviously. Especially if something hasn't been working and you know it, deep within yourself, but you just keep holding on, hanging on, just like that song. But instead of you keep me hanging on, it's like I keep me hanging on. What's coming in is represented by the 3 of Cups, and this is a card of socializing, celebration of some sort. It's interesting because with the Temperance card too, this is an interesting thing. I didn't talk about this. This can even be somebody who has quit drinking and has become more, or whatever, like the vice is. When you have plants in the 12th house, the 12th house can be the house of addiction, but also overcoming these things too. And the 3 of Cups is about celebration, but you see that these people have glasses in their hand. So I think that in some cases it can be like lightening up, letting go of the heaviness that may have been plaguing you, perhaps because you were holding on to a relationship that was bringing you down. In some kind of a work situation, perhaps you let go of a second job because it was just taking too much of a toll on you. And now you have more time for your friends, because that's what the 3 of Cups can be about too. The Outcome card is the Death card. And this is obviously a card of transformation. And, it's interesting. I never really paid attention to it, and I don't know if this is also true in the Rider-Waite deck, but they show a white rose. And, of course, white is a symbol of purity. And, I think, again, about a blank slate when I think of that Fool card. And I wonder, you know what? This is weird. If you know that this person has a white rose too. And I know that the Fool card is supposed to be about kind of that innocent, or, like a fresh-faced kind of a attitude. So if you know that about the symbolism and how it connects the Fool to the Death card, please let me know. Write it below. Sometimes it's hard to find the symbolism of the tarot, because there are, I mean, because I've looked for it, and you know, sometimes I can't find every single thing that's there, and I'm not even sure if this is in the Rider-Waite, because they're not going to talk about these other decks, but these tend to be very faithful to them, so that's why I have it in the first place. But yeah, so I think that it's, you know, the 3 cards that you got are very, you know, Taurus, that were major arcana cards, are very important, because the Fool card is really about new beginnings, absolute new beginnings. And of course the Death card isn't the last card of the major arcana, but it's about endings. So the question is, can you accept that life is a combination of beginnings and endings? Or do you, you know, fear both of these changes? Do you want to just keep everything the same? But you know what? Life is about change. And so by going with the flow and accepting what is, instead of trying to fight against the current, you know, what Abraham Hicks calls, you know, going upstream, which is kind of like resistance. You know, you can allow the magic to come into your life, and at first it may be scary, but it's something that can really be a great change in your life, and you can look back on it and say, wow, I'm so glad that I wasn't afraid, that I allowed these changes to come into my life, because I'm so glad about where I am right now compared to where I was 6 months ago or a year ago. Okay, Taurus, that's what I have for you, and I hope that this resonated. If you'd like a private reading, the link is below. Take care. Bye.